some.
All right, buckle up. This isn't just a simple eviction case. We've got overlapping claims, a car dispute, and what already sounds like a paperwork nightmare. When cases start like this, it usually means one thing: confusion. And confusion in court can cost you everything.
Crossover issues. This is an eviction and a replevin, I believe, or a small claims action requesting a return of the car or money. So we're here today with, we have Herman Smoody and Tina Smoody in person without counsel. We have Victoria Mott in person without counsel. We do have other individuals here, and I'm not sure if they're going to be witnesses or if they're just observing. Well, I'm asking them. They're in control of their own case.
I've got one witness.
One witness?
Mhm.
What about you?
No
No
witnesses.
witnesses. At this time, I'm going to ask, if you're going to be a witness, sir, you have to step out of the courtroom until it's your time to.
Quick reality check. Changing venue isn't just "I feel uncomfortable here." Courts require a solid legal reason, like bias or conflict of interest. So when the judge shuts this down instantly, that's a signal. This argument was dead on arrival. Question is, did she just waste valuable credibility?
Back in the courtroom for the rest of the case. All right. The court did receive a filing or something this morning that I had reviewed from you, Ms. Mott, where you're asking to change venues. There's a couple reasons why it's denied. One, you have no proper purpose or reasonable basis to ask to request to change venues in cases like this. Second, it's very untimely. And then again, according to Wisconsin statute 801.51, it's completely discretionary for the court. Unless there is a conflict of interest, there is none. And even to change venues, that wouldn't be possible. It would just be changing judges. So there's no proper reason to change venues to ask to go to Washburn County.
My concern with that was just because of the recent history with my criminal. I feel like it's hard.
No, that happens all the time.
Okay.
All the time.
Okay.
All right, so that is denied. And so we're here on Mr. Smoody and Ms. Smoody's claims against Ms. Mott. And so before we begin, I'm going to have all parties please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to provide to the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
You may be seated. All right, so again, we have same parties, somewhat overlapping issues, but not necessarily. Let's start with, we do have the eviction matter. So let's start with that.
Wait, what? After all that buildup, he just drops the eviction claim? That's a huge pivot. And here's the twist. When the main claim disappears, the entire case flips. Now the spotlight shifts, and suddenly the defendant becomes the one making demands.
Your Honor, I have a question also. I thought at the last hearing with the replevin, you were dismissing that because we already had
No, I
small
wasn't
claims.
dismissing it. I was just moving it to today.
Oh, I didn't know you were joining them. Sorry.
Yes, so that it can be heard
Okay.
today. Because I did hear some of it in the eviction matter, which at the time it was very weird, and it did not connect to the eviction at all. All right, Mr. Smoody, we're going to start with the eviction matter. So this is your case. You have the burden.
She's been evicted. I'm happy with it. I don't have anything further.
Oh, so that's all you're asking for in the eviction?
Yes.
Well, all right, then I'm dismissing the matter. Matter is dismissed.
Even though I
because-
would like to counter.
And I can hear your
Okay.
counterclaim, but I'm
Yeah,
dismissing
okay.
his
Okay.
eviction. All right, so then let's move on. You have a counterclaim, Ms. Mott. Let me find that. All right, Ms. Mott.
So you just want me to present what I have? Would you like all the exhibits that I have for you?
You present them when you want me to hear what they relate to.
Okay, so I guess my background on the whole situation, because I know before I was never able to testify or anything.
All of that went away. I wiped the slate clean with the last hearing because I knew that we would need far more time.
Yep.
And so we were out to start anew here today, but you are no longer in the place. And so the eviction is moot, but I will hear your counterclaim.
That doesn't make, okay.
Uh-oh. Handwritten pay stubs? No official records? This is where things start falling apart fast. In court, documentation is everything, and informal records like this can be incredibly hard to prove. Right now, the judge is probably thinking, where's the real evidence?
And that just doesn't make sense to me because I thought we were here, you know, and then there was the other claims in it, in my counterclaim. And now that, I don't know, it just doesn't make
I'm
sense to me,
saying
sorry.
you are out of the house, so
Yep,
I
yep.
cannot evict you unless you want an eviction on your record. I could do that.
No,
that's
I'm
why
just
I'm
trying to
saying-
understand, sorry.
His matter to evict you, gone. But you have a counterclaim in there, which I'm hearing right now.
For money owed, okay. Well, because sorry, I just got to organize myself because everything I had was against, you know, to show where I was overcharged on rent and everything, so I guess.
This is your time to present. If you believe that they or Mr. Smoody owes you money, this is your time to present that.
Well, yeah, at least, can I approach?
For the house, yes.
Can I
If
approach?
these are exhibits. And you have a copy for Mr. Smoody?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So these are handwritten pay stubs for Mr. Smoody. So the whole entire situation, I was being overcharged on rent. And so I also have emails that correspond and state, and I brought in blank calendar, so it's a little easier to follow along with what I paid and where I paid. If you guys want, just a minute. That didn't come up at all. And that's, the whole issue arose because I was being overcharged on rent. So I used to work for them. In the beginning, in March, I first confronted Jerry about it. I'm gonna approach again. So this is that's where I first brought up that he was overcharging me on rent because I had made an $800 deposit February 19th. And so that covers 8 weeks of rent. At that point, I was only 2 weeks behind. So with it being 2 weeks behind, there's still 6 weeks.
Okay.
I
I know nothing about any agreement that you have, so I don't know if the rent was supposed to be $800 a month.
It was $100 a
So
week.
that's what you have to tell me.
Okay, sorry.
I need to know who, where, what, when, and why.
So our agreement was I would pay $100 a week and I paid half of the utilities from September until May 5th when I quit working for them. I quit working for them because I was being overcharged on rent and brought the issue up multiple times to Jerry, which he continued to just take $100 out of my paychecks, which are on those handwritten pay stubs. I was in the process of purchasing a car from them. And so the remainder of my paycheck outside of that $100 a week, he would take towards the car. And I know on those exhibits, it says loan, but it was actually for the car. So when we kept having the issue with him overcharging me or continuing to take rent out when I didn't owe it yet, that's finally May 5th is when I was done. I quit. Like,
I'm not seeing any documentation of $100. Oh, I see one for rent on,
yep, I believe it should be on there somewhere. It'll say rent and then 100.
oh,
That's a deduction supposed to be.
all right, okay, I see it now.
And then, so that was the whole issue that started the eviction is I quit working for them. So then instantly they wanted me out.
This is a critical moment. The judge is trying to slow things down. But here's the problem. When your story comes out as a whirlwind, you lose clarity. And in court, clarity equals credibility. If the judge can't follow you, you're already losing. So ask yourself, could you clearly explain your case under pressure?
They stopped letting my child and I use the restroom in the home instantly. I rented 2 bedrooms, mind you, in the home. And then once it got warmer out, I I was moving into the loft above the garage, which in the emails you see, or in these ones, you can see where Jerry referred to me renting the loft. I know in the forms they filed last time we were here, it gave an itemized list
Well,
of.
they're not admitted. I don't have them to look at them, so you can refer to them, but they're not going to be evidence. I don't have them.
So I guess all I can say then is since I stopped working for them, clearly they were taking more money and then we started the eviction process. I didn't feel comfortable handing them more money at that point for the car. I acknowledge that, yes, I did under those still owe them $950 for the car, which I am aware of. Like, I've never said that I didn't. I just wasn't comfortable handing them more money when there was this dispute about how in the first claims with these that aren't here now, they were saying that I owed all this other, like, they came up with all these other things that I owed for when I, didn't.
Ms. Mott, I know that this is causing you to be a little bit anxious
Mhm.
because that's what court does to people. Take a breath, and I need to hear everything from the start to the finish. Right now, I'm just getting a whirlwind of things said, so it's a bit confusing. Right now, I'm just trying to concentrate on the rent, and if you say that you've overpaid. So I would need to know from the first month you've moved in, if it was paid, if it wasn't, if more was taken out, if more wasn't, and where you are on that as it relates to the rent and the utilities only.
Well, by the time that I moved out after the eviction, that was pretty much through when I was overpaid on, in that sense, if that makes sense.
It does not.
So even though I quit May 5th, I was still okay on rent for 4 or 5 more weeks. There were 6 other payments out, that they took out of my check, even though I had that $800 in there. Instantly, they started charging me the $100 out of my paycheck. So
How much do you think you've overpaid in rent? Not talking about the car. How much do you think you've overpaid in rent?
when I quit, by that point, or by the time I moved out,
When you moved out, because that's where we're going to.
2 weeks I still had left.
So you believe that they owe you $200, that you've overpaid $200.
Yep, and then they packed mine and my child's room up before the eviction was even started, and I have video evidence for that.
I need one thing at a time. Where can you show me that you've overpaid $200?
Well, now it's just kind of hearsay, just because we're so far past the eviction. But if you,
Hearsay is a statement of somebody else, not the police. I just need to know if you have documentation to show that you paid rent, that you have your pay stubs that show that, or in his handwritten thing, because I'm not understanding. I'm seeing April 11th paid. That's the only date I'm seeing on this ledger. Otherwise, I see no date.
I know and I brought that issue up to Jerry as well, because I didn't like that there weren't dates on them either. They're handwritten. Where are my taxes that were taken out of it? Can I approach, please?
Yes.
This was the first, when I kept raising the issue of.
Wait until you're back to your table, okay? All right, back to, well, before we begin with you bringing me up to speed so I know how each thing connects. Mr. Smoody, as it relates to rent only.
Right.
Just rent.
Can I approach?
No,
Think so?
it's not your time to testify right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
As it relates to rent only, do
Yeah.
you believe that Ms. Mott overpaid $200, or do you contest that?
Absolutely not. I contest that.
Okay. All right. So Ms. Mott, now you can show me how it adds up that you paid $200 more and you moved out, I believe.
This is the final nail in the coffin. No dates, no records, no proof. In court, it's simple. If you can't prove it, it didn't happen. And this case, it just turned into a perfect example of how poor documentation can sink both sides.
It said June 27th.
I moved out June 10th, and I
Okay.
have body cam footage of me there with the U-Haul and a statement that Jerry made to the officer because they took the plates off my car. And the original agreement was when I purchased the car that I paid the insurance, which is listed on those pay stubs as well, the insurance payments.
Oh, so you're saying you paid through to June 27th? That's what you're
Yep.
saying. Okay.
And I moved out, the eviction hearing was June 5th, I believe. And so I moved out June 10th, because that's when I was able to get a U-Haul and return to get everything out in one foul swoop. Is there a spot I could plug this in, Your Honor, I guess?
One fail swoop.
Oh,
Okay, so what I just need to know is, I need you to show me with your paycheck that he deducted money.
when he wrote the rent 100, that means that's a deduction according to him. So
Is this your paycheck?
those are my pay stubs. Yes, those are what I got for pay stubs, correct. And
Not
that's
legal in
Jerry's,
any way, shape, or form.
that's Jerry's handwriting
And this is for working at a restaurant?
at their cafe, yes.
A
Thank
handwritten?
you. And then he would take the car payments out of there as well.
So, Mr. Smoody, you didn't give real paychecks that showed deductions, like legitimate deductions and taxes and all of those things?
I did not to Tori because she owed me the money, so I was just taking the cash as she worked. My other employees get paychecks.
So you're paying her under the table?
Well, I guess so.
So she didn't have to claim it either? So you didn't have to claim paying an employee and she didn't have to claim getting the income?
I guess so.
That's all illegal on both ends. It's illegal.
And my current employer, she had helped me out with money for other things. And I still get a pay stub. She takes it as a deduction on